you asked to box on this show in Coventry and you're on it. He goes, you're in the tournament. Everything's all about to change overnight. It was a massive learning experience for us as a team. We literally planned it out down to the last minute, and it came off down to the last minute on the night. Our mentality was win the first fight, win the second fight, win the third fight. We'd go in there to fight 3 fights. I sat down in the corner and my coach said, right, it's one apiece. You either go out there and just don't take a step back and just keep throwing. When he has that pause, like, you can see my hand went up and then it went down, and I was like, nah, keep it up because you've got this. Biggest night in my boxing career, winning that. Why wouldn't we dance? I've got to thank Sky, I've got to thank Boxer for what they've done, because they've really helped me to allow me to showcase our culture for our people. So obviously that was new to Sky Sport. You've never seen Dudley's walking out. They said, what colour do you want? Orange it is. Then, like, because it was Versace, like, that was something we wanted to represent and wanted to show. And you know what? Going forward, orange has got to be the colour. It hasn't happened overnight. It's happened over the last 15 years.
Welcome back to the KultureKast podcast. We have a returning guest today. It is the Boxer Lightweight Super Series champion since the last time we spoke. Welcome back, Cheema.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on, with me.
How are you doing, brother? I can see you still got the little mark on your nose. How's everything healing up?
Yeah, I mean, my body, like, what are we now? We're on Saturday now, so we're like 3 weeks after the fact. So my body's like healed well. I've had a bit of time to slow down and eat some junk, have the rugby, have some glab jam, and have some sausage. Do you know what I mean? I've had a few weeks of just picking out a bit and just letting my body recover and just taking it all in. So yeah, you know, only thing that's probably remaining is this little thing here. Other than that, everything else is all good. that'll go out as I start training and start my recovery processes properly again. Then that'll just come out over time.
No, 100%. I was watching back, obviously, the fights today in preparation for this. Like, obviously, the last hour, I've just been watching back the fights, and we'll get onto obviously the fights and all that as we like delve into the conversation and the process before, after, and during. Obviously, as I say, returning guest, episode 47 is the main episode that we had as your story up until basically the Boxer Super Series. So everything that anybody wants to know about Dylan's story and the normal sort of podcast format, listen to that one and then come back and listen to this one afterwards. But we'll start off with, obviously, the Boxer Super Series was set to be announced in Coventry. Then how did they get in contact with you? Did you get in contact with them? How did that work?
Yeah, obviously boxing's a small world. Everybody knows everybody. I'm lucky that I've got a good manager behind me as well. I sort of found out that Boxer was coming to Coventry and found out it was a lightweight. So I was like, oh, even better. I initially reached out to my manager and said, oh, look, you know, by the way, this show's coming here. Have you heard? He goes, yeah, I've heard. We tried to get on the show as probably a 4 or 6 round fight initially, not in the tournament, because I didn't think at that time, this is probably like early on this year, like right at the start of the year, probably January time, there wasn't much space on. So, you know, they'd filled out the 8 space already. And then it was probably like middle of February. I was out at an event in Liverpool with work, and my phone just kept on going crazy on the final day before I left to come home. And I was sort of on the way home and I got a call from my manager saying, yeah, you asked to box on this show in Coventry and you're on it. And I said, fantastic. What do you mean I'm on it? He goes, you're in the tournament? And I was just like, I was thinking it was a Friday night or Friday afternoon, got back to the gym Friday night. I was already training for a 4-round fight at the end of April anyway. So I was already in camp, already got my weight down, got my fitness up already. So fortunately, I already had that backing behind me. And then on that day I think that was 7 weeks, that Saturday was 7 weeks out from the fight. So from that Friday, training literally just changed, you know, literally on that instant. I came back to gym, me and the coach, we sat down and said, right, okay, when you're doing your runs, you got to do them like this. When you're doing your pads, you got to do them like this. When we do spar, we got to do this. This is how we need to train now. And also, it's the recovery side has got to be more important on it as well. You know, I do take my time to recovery. I do take my time to rest, but I need to do a little bit more than I was doing before, making sure I'm ice bathing properly, making sure I'm getting my massages in, that sort of thing. Eating the right, you know, even in terms of supplement wise, we had to change up a little bit. So everything sort of had to change overnight. But it was a massive learning experience for us as a team. And we then, I think one of my coaches then watched back the last series that they had. I think it was a super lightweights back end of last year, and studied the timings, how it works, what how long they have from the final bout to the next fight. He worked it out meticulously all the way through. So we was confident all the way through, and we worked those timings quite strictly throughout camp. So it just sort of, we just studied it massively. But that's how it happened. That's how it came about, and it was a fun journey to get to that fight night, to be honest.
It's probably an extra bonus being the hometown fighter as well. Like obviously from Coventry, the tournament's in Coventry, and I feel like obviously Sky played into that, as well as all the cultural and dissy side of things that we'll get onto in a bit. But with the sort of training and prep, obviously you said there that as soon as you found out about it, your training changed. Maybe for anybody who doesn't know, obviously the tournament layout is 3 fights, 3 rounds, 3 minutes each, 3 fights in one night. And so you've got the 8 contestants, then you've got a semi-final for 4, and then obviously the final. And the timing in between is something that I was going to ask you, because did you know at the point of training where you would be on the draw? Because obviously you were the first fighter out, but did you know that until Thursday? Was that the first day that you found out?
Yeah, so we actually worked out roughly how long the first fight was until the second fight to the third fight, all that out. So we worked out how the other fights would play out as well. So yeah, we didn't find out where I actually was until the Thursday. So on that Thursday, which is like 2 days before the fight, we knew where we was at. But in training, we actually worked out on having imagine being the first fighter as we were and then having the second fight and the third fight. We did those rough timings. Then we did it as if I was the last fight and didn't have no time to break. And we did it if I was one of the middle 2 fights, which I'll have the medium sort of break. So we did plan all that out. Luckily, we did the longer break. So it was like we had like an hour break, and then we had a sort of a 40 minute break, and then the final. So we did them timings like 2 weeks prior to the actual fight. So it was like so close that it actually worked out quite well. And we planned to do it, but it was just like, do you know what? We're gonna give this longer break a try today. See how my body is, see how I react. So we literally planned it out down to the last minute, and it came off down to the last minute on the night. I think my coach worked out, Richard Waller worked out, we was like 4 or 5 minutes out, and that's because there was some issues with Sky TV on the night. So it was like some issue when I said like they had some sort of delays on their side, which pushed back the schedule slightly. So we was literally like 5 minutes out, which is mad.
Because that was what I was going to ask, is obviously being the last fighter, you would think being the next, like the first fighter in the next round. So if you were the last fighter in the initial fight and then the first semi-final, obviously that rest time's fuck all, essentially. It's very short.
Yeah. So that wasn't the case. So if you were the first, so it was like first quarterfinal, second quarterfinal, fought in the first semi-final. So the 2 guys that had the longest break fight each other. Then the 2 guys that had the shorter break fight each other. Right. It just means in the semi-final, I was the first semi-final. So I had my fight, then it was one other fight, and then he needed his break. So that was like 15 minutes. So, and then it was in the final. So I had the longer break in the semi-final. The guy, Ryland Charlton, that I fought, he was a third semi-final, third quarter-final, second semi-final. So he had like 15 minutes from his interview finishing. He had 15-minute break, whereas I had like a 40-minute break. So for me, obviously, but his body, he's used to longer rounds, so his body's probably still warmed up. All he had to do was keep himself warm. So that probably played in his hand in that way, but it played in my hand having a longer break. So you can sort of all splitting all these hairs down, but it don't really matter. I won, so
no, 100%. 100%, because I feel like that is the thing that people would think of initially, though, is like obviously the longer rest time, but then like you just obviously have the flip side of it's hard to just stand around for 40 minutes and then have to go again because your body's probably cooling down and stuff. So like when you're getting straight to the back, what are you doing in between each fight?
So we start releasing how it is behind the scenes on the night. So like for the first fight, obviously it was like an hour, and call it an hour and a half break. So it was just like I sat down for a bit, had a banana, had a carb gel, had a bit of a massage. Then it was like, I think by the time it got to an hour, I felt a bit not tired, but I could feel that settle in. So I had a bit of like a 5-minute skip, had a break, sat down, had a chat, then had another 5-minute skip, not like so. So I kept myself active all the way through, and then it was like half an hour before. Then we started the warm up again, put the gloves on, warmed up, started going through the routine again. Because imagine I was essentially cold at that point. Then from the winning the semi final, we didn't actually take the gloves off until I finished the final fight. So we got in the changing room. I put my warm clothes on, trackie, hoodie, over my gloves, over my shorts, everything stayed on. So I kept myself warm again. Had a bit of a sat down for probably 15 minutes. Had a carb gel again. Had a bit of a drink. Had half a banana just to give me a little bit of energy. And then started warming up slowly again, and kept myself active. Pretty much straight away. So yeah, it was very much about like managing yourself. And you know, a lot, as much as we did train for this, we trained, you know, I knew that I need to keep how I would feel. You don't know what injuries you're going to carry from the night. So it was like very much having me telling my coaches, being open to my coaches, saying this hurts, that hurts, the other hurts, or I'm feeling a bit tired, I'm feeling a bit hungry, or I'm actually feeling super energized. I've still got loads of adrenaline pumping in my body. It's like being open, so my coaches know how to deal with that as well, because they've known me from a young age. So you know, they know what I'm like, and how to react to me as well.
100%. And like you said, obviously with the adrenaline, you can only imagine that first fight when he came out. Obviously you've got the Dudleys there and all these things, but you get the knockout, and it was like an electric atmosphere. The second fight as well, because it was quite close, when you actually get the 5-second delay where like the announcer hasn't said who's won and everybody's shitting themselves, and then as soon as you raise your hand, there's a big pump. Do you know what I mean? Like you're buzzing, but then you can, like you say, you could have like a bit of a crash maybe half an hour afterwards, and then, oh shit, I need to go back out. So it is obviously just being dialed in. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's where training comes into it, mentally preparing yourself for it all. So the whole way through training, it wasn't like, okay, we need to make sure we get through the first fight, then we'll think about, no, our mentality was win the first fight, win the second fight, win the third fight. We'd go in there to fight 3 fights. That was our mindset. Like, I knew that I had to win all the first fight, otherwise I couldn't get into second fight, but we were prepared all the way through. Mm-hmm. So like my mindset was, I got the knockout, I dogged to the corner, we had a little celebration. Then my coach, you see the camera looking at me, my coach is looking at my face, give me a little slap, and then it was just like, right, breathe, recover, get your breath back, get a t-shirt on. It's all about recovery at that point. Have your injury, then it's like you wouldn't see it, but we would just like go see the doctor. Then it was right, we need to go, and my coaches were just ushering anyone who some interviews afterwards. We only did the ones that we had to do because I needed my rest. So that was the biggest thing, was that we prepared for it, but it was all about, once a fight was done, recover, get your breath back, get your body under control. Don't let the whole atmosphere, the hype, get in the win. I remember winning. I didn't realize that I'd won 3 fights until I won 3 fights after the night, because I was just in that zone all night. I was in a zone, like I was in a cool cut, like I was relaxed backstage and in the changing room, but I was focused as well. And then so I'll be like chatting, laughing, but I was focused. And then in the ring, I was focused. So it was like my mind didn't switch off and think, yeah, I just got a knockout. And then I wasn't even bothered. Win that fight, and my mind was on the next fight. Who was I going to fight? And then my coach were out watching the second quarterfinal. So yeah, it was just focus was the biggest thing.
And as you say there as well, obviously, because the training aspect, I had this conversation with Nick Webb, because he won the heavyweight tournament a few years back. And obviously he was on the podcast as well. And it's impossible to train for seven other potential opponents, and you don't know who you're going to get and things. So his mentality was just, I have to be the best version of myself, and whatever happens, and just be a bit more adaptable, and be prepared for any other style, but essentially just make sure that I'm the best on the night. And so I'm imagining that you've obviously done the same, and just...
So when my coaches looked at the different fighters, we looked at the few different styles there's some similarities. That basically you either got two types of fighters: a guy that comes forward to knock you out, or you've got a boxer. They're the two styles that you've got to prepare for. Essentially, that's what it came down to. So we prepared roughly for different styles, different guys. We had different sparring partners as well. So it's like we were doing everything we can. But at the bottom line is, it's a 3-round fight. There's not a lot of time to set up traps like you do in the longer fights. Work on a tactic. You've just got to go in and make sure you land more punches than them. And then it comes down to me and making sure I'm confident in myself, like in my mind, and that I've got a good boxing brain to overcome the different types of fighters. And we believe that we did.
100%. And you did face basically both of them types of fighters. Like the first fight, obviously, come forward and we'll get into it. The first fight, you walk out, obviously you're the first person on the show, hometown fighter, everyone's buzzing, the totallys come out. It's a buzz watching it at home, having the Nishan side, the guys in the audience who are the Nishan side, well, big up to them guys as well for repping.
100%.
And then it was a very quick fight, I think less than 2 minutes. You get rocked very early because he's sort of like, I think he hits you on the temple or something, you wobble, then within the next second he's on the floor, and then he gets rocked a few more times, and then it's all over. So that's obviously the very sort of quick start to the fight, and you've got that come forward fighter. How was that fight for you? As like sort of, was it like a shock to the system of just boom, we're in this now?
Yeah, so fighting OT, so we had a few days just to work on a few different tactics, and we sort of put a plan together. But the difference was, like, on the night, we planned to have a 5-minute period. So after the final warm-up, the last bit of warm-up, we planned to have 5 minutes from that of downtime. So when I say downtime, that's when you're walking out to ring, when they do the announcement. So from final warm-up, the last bit of sweating that you do, to the first bout, about 5 minutes, it actually turned out to be over 10 minutes. So in that time, it was like I was waiting in this holding area that they had before you walk out to the ring, and it was cold. Like, I was the first one out at 8 o'clock, and it was in an ice arena, so the atmosphere hadn't, it was like, it was like over 10 minutes. Jumped in the ring, and I was still warm and I was still like active, but that first shot did catch me a little bit cold. But I was just felt like, as soon as I got caught, I was like, right, okay, get my hand. You can see me get my hands up slowly, take a few steps back, and then all I seen is just him lunging to try and knock me out, and I just leaned with a nice right hand and just clocked him to get the finish. He was still coming to me, and that's the difference when you're fighting a journey. When you hit them, you rock them, they get defensive, they sit on the rope. He was coming to win still, so he still had that mindset, which played in my favour. I was just picking the shots as he coming. I was landing some nice shots and hurt him a few more times, and then pulled it early. But as soon as his back hit the ropes, I was ready just to go hell for leather, just start swinging until the ref jumped in. So he probably saved him a little bit early as well. So that was the first fight. It was all action, all drama, whatever you want to call it. And then it was, back focus.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that was something that was evident throughout the night, is obviously your power. Like, even the like analysts and all that were saying it as well. As two things that I think were really evident was your chin and your power, because you took some big shots in the next couple of fights as well, but you also had a big effect when you were landing. The second fight was more the boxer type, and he likes that Philly shell sort of style. He's a bit slick, he's a bit awkward. And it was, like we were saying before, it was really, really close. How was that for you when you were in there? Like, obviously, I think for me, it was first round to you, second round him, third round to you.
Yeah, 100%.
But
I scored it the same. I scored it the same on the night. And that's me fighting the fight. So I knew I'd probably nick the first round. I know I lost the second round. The difference was I tried to box him in the second round. I tried to sit on the outside and not again try to pick him off his grip, and he started pinging me. I think I got to around 2 minutes in that round, and I thought, right, okay, don't get caught with nothing stupid. You're 2 minutes down, which means you're probably down on the round. Don't get caught with nothing stupid. Try and land a few shots and make a few dents, but don't overexert yourself trying to chase this round now. Just let it be. It is what it is. and I sat down in the corner. My coach said, right, it's one apiece. You either go out there and just don't take a step back and just keep throwing. He throws one or land one, you've got to land two. And that was the mindset, was land as much as he's thrown on me. And then throughout the round, you can see I was starting to take over. My body shot started to land. Well, I think I hurt him in the last 10 seconds. He rocked back on the ropes and stopped punching. I think the bow sort of saved him, because another 30 seconds I probably could have forced that stoppage. But yeah, I mean, that was a difference in the third round, was just that relentless pressure, not relentless pressure, more that I was just landing cleaner more often than he was. So boxing went out the window for him, and for me, it was just, I was just thinking, just land me landing without leaving myself exposed.
100%. And I feel like that's what was the benefit of the first round. Is the reason I would give that to you was just because you were more aggressive, you were more coming forward.
Yeah.
The second round, obviously, he was a bit more slick. But then that third round is just, obviously, it's when you came forward and were again more aggressive. The obviously suspense at the end of the fight, there was a bit of doubt. I know you're not going to admit it, and you said, and you think you had it in the bag, but you could see both the fighters were sort of like, yourself and him were a bit nervous of that announcement. When you're in that position, and throughout the whole week beforehand, you're confident, like you're speaking now as like, I'm going to win the tournament, I'm going to win the tournament. But when you're in that moment and the announcer's giving that 10-second pause, what goes through your head?
So in that moment, I remember I went, after the fight was done, I went back to my corner, as you do, went over to him, shook his hand, whatever, went back to my corner, said, have I done enough? And all three of my coaches, we even had spectators sat outside that were supporting me, but we had them scoring the rounds as well. And my coach was going, you'll never see it on the cameras, but my coach going up and think thumbs up or thumbs down, or they don't know. And he just said, be honest, if you think we lost a round, give us the round loss, because we wanted as many people on the outside, because we didn't want to go into a third round unsure of, maybe we wanted to be right, okay, either you're winning or you need to do enough to get the win. So that was what was happening. But I remember coming back to the corner and said to my coach, like, have I done enough? And they were confident that I nicked that third round. I wasn't too sure, because in my mind, I did think I did enough. But like, at the end of the day, when you leave it to judges, and in that sort of 3 rounds, the rounds were still fairly close, but you just don't know how sometimes they're going to see it or they're going to score it. So when he has that pause, like, you can see my hand went up and then it went down, and I was like, nah, keep it up because you've got this. So I was just like, yeah, like, and then as soon as he called it, I was like, yeah, good, job to good. You could see for about a couple of minutes, we had that bit of adrenaline pump, and then you could just see that relax again. Job isn't done. Second job's done. We've got a third job to do.
That's my favorite picture out of the entire night. You know, when you win, and like, I think the referee still got his hand on your arm or something, but whoever that Sky Sports photographer is caught you at the perfect fucking time, because you just tense up, like screaming.
Ripped. No steroids, ripped.
Yeah, exactly. You know the picture. That's going to be the new Facebook profile picture, isn't it? That's the new Rishta picture.
Yeah. Oh, nah, man. Nah, not yet. Leave the auntie alone, okay?
Exclusive. Dylan Cheema's on the market, auntie. Dylan Cheema's on the market.
You start as well, bro.
So then you've got your 40 minutes in between before the final. Ryan obviously comes out. Ryan's probably one of the only fighters I actually knew going into the tournament, because he had that fight against Florian Marcu fight. That's the only reason I knew it.
Same, yeah. And he, I think he was the one that was a favourite. Everyone was like, he's a dangerous man. So when he got picked on that side of the draw, it was like, all right, it was either Scott or Tion or Ryland. That's who they were saying was going to be in the final. One of them two or them. So when I think it was like, when I beat Otis and then I fought Scott, they were like, all right, Scott's going to get through this. Then it's going to be Ryland and Scott in the final. Ryland obviously had a tough first quarterfinal, a tough-ish semi-final, but fought the same in each fight. And then coming into me, it was like, oh, he's done it twice. He's going to do it 3 times. That's the way he was going to fight. Because my coach actually watched all of his fights, all of the fights. So then it was just like, right, okay, that's the way he's going to fight.
And That's obviously the best fight, not only because it's the final and obviously it's entertaining as fuck because you both just went forward and it was just like an all-out war. But
Yeah.
the things that I think were evident in the first two fight were also summarized in that last fight. You displayed the power, you displayed your chin.
Yeah.
That second round when you were just bopping in and out, in and out, in and out, like good sort of boxing ability and skill. Like I think it was just like a really good encapsulation of the night and your performances. But fuck me, like when you're talking about entertainment and prize fighting, that is literally it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, all I was thinking was like I'll be honest, like in that the first round, I was okay. I remember sitting down in the first round, getting my breath back, getting my recovery, and I thought, right, I can keep this going. I didn't realize, I knew it was going to be fast paced, but I thought I was going to control it a little bit more. But damn, man, he was like relentless. His pressure was unreal. So I kept on shaking him, moving him, turning him, rolling under shots. But I think that was what was tiring him out as well, because he caught me with a few shots. But like, imagine like if a guy's swinging a baseball bat as hard as he can, like relate them to his fist. If he's swinging that arm over as hard as he can, and that lands, of course it's going to rock you. If it lands on your chin, of course it's going to rock you. Like it's a hard shot. He's putting all of his weight into it. So he only landed a few of them, to be fair. And I rode through them because I just got my hands up. And then next thing you know, like I was just like thinking, right, okay, get my recovery, couple of deep breaths while he's unloading them random shots. Don't get caught with nothing stupid on top, and then just throw back. Literally, it was just like, right, okay. Third round, I was just thinking like land some power shots to body, but everything to head was just going to be a combination and just keep throwing. Like as much as he's been relentless coming forward, be relentless throwing back. And I think the difference was when I started picking my shots, when I started rolling and making them miss and countering, and that was the difference in the third round. I was the only fighter that started doing that and started making him miss like that. And
he was getting tired of missing. He was like you could see a very noticeable difference between the first and second round, and his tiredness on the third round. But I think you landed like some really good body shots as you were starting like rolling things, getting them right hooks into the body, and that took a massive effect. And that's why I mean, where it was like a really good all round like sort of performance in that last fight, because it showed a bit of everything, like the power generally of like when you were getting backed up on the ropes, you were just pushing them into the middle of the ring and then starting again, like to overpower someone. That's obviously going to take a lot of energy from him as well.
Yeah, of course. I mean, can't fault him because like he came to bring the pressure, but there was nothing all in my mind, no matter how tired it was. I think there was one moment in the third round, middle of the third round, you could see me come in to hold him, and that was me getting my second wind, because I thought, right, okay, breathe, hold on, push him back to the ropes, step back, take a couple of steps back, because then you've got a bit more time to get your breath back before you go again, and then we go again. And that little split, like I'm only talking like 10-second break, that was enough for me to get my second win, then just to pick up that next gear or keep that pressure going rather than start faltering. I was just keeping that pressure going just off that 10 seconds in the middle of the round.
100%. When it comes to moments like that as well, where you're depleted in energy and you've got the crowd behind you, how much of an impact does that make? Because that crowd was electric on the evening.
Didn't hear the crowd. To be honest, didn't hear it. Even when I was walking out and there's like shouting, cheering, everyone like on like, because it was a ring what was like this and everyone was sat here, I didn't really pay attention. But that's obviously down to my experience as well. Like I am experienced in the ring. I know how to deal with pressure. I know how to deal with the dudleys and have that pressure as well, which is like my opponents haven't had that as an opponent coming into them, like with all this noise and all this like entertainment. They've never seen that. I've seen that and been through that and have that before. So the crowd like was fantastic. Can't fault it, but in my mind, it was all I could hear is my coaches and their instructions to me. And I think that was purely down to my experiences that I've had.
100%. That's something that we obviously spoke about quite a bit in the last podcast, is obviously the kickboxing experience and obviously the Dudleys coming out and repping sort of, but being in them hard fights and on big stages, not in terms of like as big as Sky Sports and a boxer series and what this was,
Yeah.
but a different type of big stage of world championship fights, like the magnitude of them fights. Do you think that boded well for you as in, just like you said, just having to know how to control that experience, knowing your body?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, like I've been through many different aspects and different types of fights in kickboxing, and that all played in. So there was a quote that I put out on Twitter and Instagram and social media, and that was, "This has been, it hasn't happened overnight. It's happened over the last 15 years. Well, I'm in my 16th year now, so it's happened over the last 16 years, and all those experiences that I've had, no matter what sport it's been, predominantly kickboxing, and now the few experience I've had in boxing, it's all played into that one night. Mm-hmm. But now I've got that one night's experiences and that 16 years going to help me going forward. So like, it wasn't just, like you say, kickboxing, all them experiences over that 15 years of kickboxing played into that Saturday night for sure.
It is literally like the cliche is it takes 10 years to become an overnight success. You know what I mean? And you went into that tournament 2-0, I believe 2-0, and then left 5-0. You know what I mean? So you're like almost more than doubled your record, and the spotlight and the highlight on you because of that is almost like an overnight success. Obviously, I know that it's still very early in your career, and you know, Bob with the main now, hopefully you go achieve beyond and elevate the sport for the community. But obviously, it is that old cliche, and it's been more than that for you. When you did win, you can see the obviously elation in the ring, Bangara with the coaches. You know what I mean? Like obviously them clips get round as well. What was that feeling? Like you said before, you didn't realize you won all 3 fights until you won all 3 fights. Is that when you were like, "Oh shit, I've done it. Let's do some Bangara now"?
Yeah, that was it. Like the whole plan was, we planned this out as well. Like we was like, we win, we get we couldn't get the dullies in the ring, but it was like uncles getting in the ring and we were all gonna have a dance, because this is like, we do this anyway. Do you know what I mean? We go to a wedding, we go to a party. What do? We dance. So biggest night in my boxing career, winning that. Why wouldn't we dance? So it was just a bit of everything. Like obviously we had the whole crowd. Everyone, like if there were videos of the crowd, I'm sure everyone was dancing on their feet. All I could see like afterwards was like English people doing like freaking light bulbs all around the room, but they were all getting into it as well. So like it brought that next level of entertainment as well. But that was all us, man. Like I remember as soon as we got announced a winner, there was like, yes. All I can remember thinking was, we've done it. We've done it. Like we've won the fight. That's what all I thought was like. It was just like winning a fight, but it was like winning like when I won a world kickboxing title fight, it was that same sort of feeling. It was like, like the hard work paid off. And obviously I owe it all down to my coaches, because it was, like I said it on the night, it was down to them. Like I wouldn't be here without them, and I owe it all down to them, big time. But I remember at one stage, I think after all the stuff was done, my coach, before like we did the interview with Ben and all that sort of stuff, my coach Waller turned around and said to me, he said, "Walk around the ring, look outside, look at like the fans, take this all in." He goes, you ain't this moment now, remember this. So I remember looking around the ring, it was like, yeah, I like this. Like that was moment, that was when it hit me, because it was like, like everyone's on their feet, everyone's got their phones out recording this. It's like they're recording me and my team. Like that was so sick. That in itself, like that was a wicked moment.
No, 100%. I can imagine. Like, as there's a few clips of obviously when you're doing your ring walk and things, and they totally start, and you can see like people in the crowd already dancing there. Obviously, the non-Apane people who are dancing, which is similar to what we were saying in the last podcast of like people who haven't experienced this before. It's like you experience it for the first time, you experience a new culture for the first time, which is something that was very sort of evident throughout all the promotion as well. I don't know if it's because you were the hometown fighter, but Sky did back you like heavily.
Yeah, and I don't even know where that came from, to be honest, because it wasn't just me, there were 7 other fighters in the tournament. I don't know whether like we had a media day like quite early on. It was probably like quite early on, and obviously there was loads of interviews, loads of behind the scenes footage that they recorded. So like I don't know, from that point they realised we can market this kid. Obviously because I was a hometown boy, they could really brand that and sell that. But also because of their background and culture and what I wanted to represent as well was another factor, probably why they wanted to really put the put more footage out of me than anyone else. So, you know, obviously I've got to thank Sky and got to thank Boxer for what they've done, because they've really helped me to allow me to showcase our culture for our people.
100%. And like us, I messaged you the other day about this.
Yeah.
Literally on Instagram, I was like, look, for the next tournament, the first clip they've used in the promo is the Dudley's coming out from this tournament. And like that's big. Do you know what I mean? Like, to have our culture being represented on a tournament where there's not even a Punjabi fighter, just because the impact that you had, the team had during this tournament was so big. Do you know what I mean? Throughout the whole sort of build up to it, it's very much like the Punjabi pride is there. And credit to you as well, because some people play into it a bit more, some people don't, or some people are just like proud of where they come from. So credit to you for actually platforming that, because like we said on previous podcasts, I say to like pretty much every single boxer that I've had on, when you see somebody on TV like Dylan Cheema smashing it, in the post-fight interview has an Ashan side wrapped around him. You know what I mean? That little Sikh kid who wants to get into boxing and kickboxing and look up and be like, look, I want to be like him. Winning this tournament sort of thing is just, it's creme de la creme. So props to you. That's and big up to you.
No, thank you, man. I appreciate that, because like all I want to do is like, obviously it's not been an easy journey for me, and you know, I'm thankful that I've got a good support base around me, from family to friends to coaches and everyone as well. So like that's obviously, that plays into it and helped me a lot as well. But you know, if I can provide a platform for the next generation, hopefully in more sports than just boxing, you know, that the big organizations can realize that we have talent, invest in our talent as well as you invest in all these other talents that are out there. Like, you know, how many of them actually get scouted? Like, get the scouts down there. Like, I just want to provide a platform for the next generation. And if I can do that, then I've achieved everything I can achieve. I'm not, you know, I'm not trying to chase like money. Obviously, I want the big nights, and you know, money does come with it, but that's great. But I just want to provide a platform for the next generation, and that's me being truthful and honest.
100%. And it is consistent, because obviously, like we had the previous podcast like months before this was even a thing, and it's the same message beforehand. So like, I don't think there could be any discrepancy, or anybody could say anything, because literally it is consistent. We've had that conversation way before boxing, we've had it afterwards, and it's the same thing. The proof's in the pudding. Do you know what I mean? What you said you were going to do before the boxer conversation, what happened, and what going forward is happening.
It's this 100%. It's all about this. It's how strong your mind is. You know, like anyone can do anything. I know walking into that ring on that night, I've done everything I possibly can. Everything. Food, training, rest, recovery, sacrifices. I've done everything I possibly can to make sure I'm the best version of myself on the night. Then it's the guy upstairs that you know, that is going to bless me with the victory, and he did. So that's what it comes down to, is I don't go in there with any doubts, and that's my mindset. I actually carry this mindset in everything I do. You know, it's that fight. Everyone calls it fight or flight, but I just call it that win mentality. What are you going to do? I'll go into a meeting at work, and it's going to win that contract, win that negotiation. That's the same mindset that I have when I go into the ring. I can use this mindset that I've got and built over the years in any path of life. You know, even if like you're nervous of you know, you're going, you know, people get nervous meeting people for the first time. That's like walking out to a ring and having a fight with someone. You don't know what he's going to be like. You know roughly what they're like. You have the expectation in your head. That's the same thing. So when I go out in the ring and just go and do it, that's the same thing when I walk into a meeting of room full of people that I'm trying to network with. It's the same mentality as just go in and do it. That's the mindset I'm trying to carry like all the way through, and that's the mindset I would try and teach the next generation, because it's like everyone sees the good and they've seen Saturday night, but they don't know how tough it's been. And I'm not saying like tough because like I'm struggling with like money or with this or with that. It's just been tough, like trying to juggle training and work and stuff. So I'm not saying that I'm like come from like a deprived background or anything. I haven't. You know, my family done very well, so it's just different for everyone, isn't it?
You need to go through some sort of hardship to be able to come out the other side stronger, and fighting is the biggest testament to that. Like, You have to go through 7 weeks of grueling training. You have to have the nutrition on point and skip out on the gulab jamun once in a while. Do you know what I mean? Like you have to.
Yeah, no, that's
like,
it. That's
do you
it.
know what I mean? You have to have the sparring and different partners and emulate the 3-minute rounds and 3 different fighters to be able to win on that night. And that it is like it's like a metaphor for life almost. Like that, like fitness generally is like I had another podcaster come on and he's quite into fitness as well. And he said that like his meditative state is in the gym. When you've got a squat, like you're squatting, you've got that weight on your back. Obviously, there's nothing else in your mind other than obviously getting that weight back up. So one, your mind's automatically clear, and that's basically what meditation is. But also, it's like the weight is pushing you down, and you need to get back up. And it's the same with fighting. Do you know what I mean? Like the Rocky quote. It's not how many times
that's it. Yeah, 100%.
And all of that stuff. But no, definitely like the transferable skills from any sort of discipline and physical discipline always is amazing. And like you said, it is transferable. With going back to sort of the Sky and the Boxer tournament and sort of the lead up to it, obviously, as I mentioned before, you were exuding confidence all the way throughout and were very calm and things like that. When you had your media day, was there already plans for you to have like the Dudleys come out for the walk-in? Do you have to actually have a conversation with Sky for that? How does that work?
So obviously that was new to Sky Sports. Mm-hmm. No one's done that before. You've seen like Prince Naz when he's walked out on like the flying down thing, or Mayweather's come on a crown on this throne thing. Like you've seen all that before, but you've never seen Dudley's walking out, and it's very different to anything they've planned before. When I had the phone call with my manager, when he said you're in the tournament, my first question back is drummers. He's English, so I had to call him drummers. I said, drummers, where are we at with them? We need them there. He said, don't worry, Dale. Don't worry. I've spoken to Sky. They know how important that is. I've told them, and they've approved it. I said, what have they approved? They said, you can have a couple of drummers there. Smashing, done. Boys, we sorted it. Like, I got onto the Dudleys and said, like, Pav and Matthew, I was like, guys, like, get ready because this is going to be big. And them guys smashed it as well. Like they get the crowd going. We actually we plan to have 3 different songs. I don't plan this. Like my best mate Umaji, like he plans all this and he liaises with Sky on the night and the day before. And on the Thursday when we had him down for the press conference, like he liaised with Sky and all that and worked out what they want and what best way to do it. He wanted 3 different entrances. Started big, but bigger, and then massive. We actually, on the night, it didn't sound, the first fight, it didn't sound as good as we wanted with the music. So, like, we just scrapped the music. Second fight, we actually did 10 seconds of music. You hear it cut, and then they played. Third time, for Charlton, we was just like, sod the music, just send the drummers out. Lads, lighten up the room. And that's what they did. Like, that's what we had to do. You didn't need the music. You can't hear it when these guys are blasting their drums. Exactly.
No, it is sick. 100% is sick, especially when it comes after Barbie World or whatever Charlton's.
Yeah.
That was a nice little clash.
Couldn't lose to that, could I? Couldn't lose someone for walking on Barbie World.
And especially like the other thing that I was going to ask is colours, because I see the photo afterwards when you're having your interview on the main stage on like the not like post fight straight away at the ring.
Yeah, it was on the separate.
Yeah. And obviously you've got that picture, the Nishan Sahib's obviously around you as well, and then you've got your orange shorts. So was that ever a conscious decision, or was it just happened to be?
Yeah, so it was like on the media day, we go up on the stage, like we're all separate, but like when they call you up to the stage to do like your bit of like shadow boxing, do a few talking bits like with your top off and that, they said, what colour do you want? One of my colours has always been blue, like that's just one of the colours I always go for. Blue was taken. It was like all some random colours. I think yellow was still on there. Majit was sat there and I said, when's Versace? Because I knew Versace was around that time. And he said, I think it was on Thursday before my fight, either Wednesday or Thursday before my fight. And I said, orange it is then, like, because it was Versace, like that was something we wanted to represent and wanted to show. And it was just like that. And do you know what? Going forward, orange has got to be the colour because we're representing now, man. Like we're on that stage, we're at that platform. the world is going to show what, as a Sikh, this is what we're about. This is who we are. And yeah, orange is our color. And do you know what? It was so, yeah, it just like, yeah, it just had to be done.
No,
I couldn't walk out in pink or purple and let someone else wear orange on the week of a Saki. Definitely.
And it suits you. And obviously, like I said, that picture at the end when you have the Nishan Sahib around you as well.
It was, that was her. That was a funny one, because like I remember in the ring, I remember walking out and I seen the two lads there. I think they were from Coventry, and they obviously had the Nishan Sahib waving it on the TV. So that was fantastic. I remember like after the final fight, they were like shouting, Dilla, take the flag. And then I looked and I thought, nah, like I don't know whether I want to do that. I don't know whether. And then I was just like, nah. I was waiting for my interview for Ben, and Sky were doing a bit on the other side. So I thought, nah, sorry. I literally went to Ben Chellum. I was like, Ben, 2 seconds, and grabbed the flag, put it over my shoulder, and had the interview. Then when I sat down on the stage, I didn't know where to put it. I didn't want to just hold it up, because that would just look unnatural. So I thought, I'll just put it on my laps. I'm sat up off the ground anyway, so I thought I'll put it on my laps, and the camera's going to be facing me, so they can see my whole body. They can see the Nishan Sahib on my laps.
100%. I didn't know if that was obviously like planned or not, but obviously if it's just like I thought the guys there might have known you or something and then gave you the flag, but big up to them guys. That
was completely big up to them guys, man. Like big time. Like obviously they did a massive job, man. That they were making some noise as well, man, and we're walking out. Yeah, man.
100%. And as we say, like the community support since then has been phenomenal. Like everything on that night. You were up against Conor Benn on that evening. Yeah, Conor Benn, I think's pay-per-view was on the same night. And my timeline was more pictures of you than there was Conor Benn. So that's how you know you do
one well. Point. Like the mad thing, that at one point I was trending like number 10 or something in the world or in the country or something. Probably not in the world, probably in the country. So that was big. I thought, I didn't realize until like a couple of the boys afterwards, like when we got home, they were like, you was like trending like highly in the country. I was like, nah. Me? I'm just a boy that just trains and goes to work. Do you know what I mean? Like, that was crazy.
No, definitely. It's like you said before as well, with the whole like pushing the culture sort of thing, and that is a very like sporting wise, that's a very powerful moment for the community. But it also shows that, like we will get behind our people when it comes to these sporting sort of things. So like Sky, for them, it's a touch, because now they know, one, in Coventry, you're a big draw, with it being your hometown, but the community backs our fighters.
Nationally, forget about Coventry, think about national now. Like I believe that we land in like a London or a Manchester or even Scotland, we can have them big nights, and people will turn out and watch us because they want to get behind one of our own. So for me, that's something that's what Sky, they've never been able to tap into our culture for, because they've never had anyone to promote, and they've got someone now that they can push. But for me, that's fantastic. Like I just want to be me throughout all this. I don't want to start changing, start being someone that I'm not, and I just want to represent our culture the best I can.
100%. And apologies, because I probably put more pressure on for no reason in that respect. But I think we did speak about this on the last podcast as well, with like Amir Khan and Prince Naseem, as we were saying. They had a big impact on the Pakistani community in the UK and the Muslim community in the UK. Sky obviously tapped into that with both fighters. And like you say, we needed someone for ourselves. Like there are a lot of up-and-coming fighters coming through now. As I say, I had the fortune to speak to many of them on this podcast, but maybe it's not like financially viable for these big companies to invest in these fighters because they're unsure of the market. But that's dispelled now. Like when you have
that's gone.
The market come out and the community come out, and the market is there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we proved something different on that night. We proved that we support our own. Like we turn up, we show out. It proved them. It proved, and I wouldn't say it proved them wrong, but it just proved like they didn't know what they didn't know, but now they know. If that makes sense.
No, definitely agree. So what's next?
It was all about the opportunity. We got the opportunity, we seized it. Now it's like, what's next? Like you said, now we're looking at a contract with Sky Sports. Hopefully, we're professional contract with Boxer. That's what we're that's what we're trying to push at the minute. Get that over the line. I'll be back on air on Box. I've got a tournament on the 14th of May in Manchester for the cruiserweights, the big guys. So I'll be there on the night. We're looking at hopefully getting some dates proposed, and nothing's confirmed yet. But follow the social media and follow the journey, because I'll tell you what, this is going to be a journey now. I think I said it on my last podcast, but we didn't know where we was going to go. I was probably aiming for a 4-rounder this year, at this point in the year, and now it's flipped on its head, and we're on something else special. But we're on about development now. It's on about getting back to, not back to basics, but getting the right learning fights, getting the right round under my belt, and building my career properly now, and correctly, not probably correctly. Towards some special nights. I can tell that for sure.
100%. As I say, obviously one of the perks of winning the tournament is the rise in profile, and obviously Boxer, that opportunity to sign for them. And I imagine they'll probably bring you in for the tournament next week as the winner as well, just to obviously get your thoughts on that, how them fighters are going to be processing what they're going through, similar to
that's what they will. But they're doing something special to announce that as well. So I'll just say, just watch.
Yeah.
When you hit that stop record button, I'll tell you, bro.
Yeah. No worries. I think this is actually going to go out afterwards, but still, no
okay,
worries.
There you go.
No worries, but yeah, fully appreciate your time again. I know the past couple of weeks have been very hectic, and so I appreciate you getting back.
Appreciate having me on. Thank you.
No worries. Let's wrap this up. I don't want to know where this sneak peek is, so I'm going to wrap this up. All of Dylan's links will be in the link in description. All of that stuff, go follow him on social media for his next outing. If you want to hear his story of his kickboxing journey and how we got into boxing, that's episode 47. And hopefully more big nights ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers.